I grew up in San Juan, Puerto Rico during the 30s and 40s. The time of depression, a time of war. I saw the changes that came about right after Pearl Harbor. My father took my brother to the Coast Guard station in San Juan, where he volunteered into the Coast Guard, and he was assigned right there to one of the two cutters that were in the San Juan Harbor, the Unalga and the Acacia. I didn't know it then, but a distant cousin went into the Acacia about the same time. And my brother started as an apprentice boatswain's mate in the Unalga. We were experiencing shortages in raw materials and all supplies, and also because of the importance of Puerto Rico as a naval base and as a strategic point in the Caribbean and as a gateway to the Panama Canal. So the submarine threat was very much present in our life. And we heard of many ships being sunk outside or close to us. We had actually about 400 ships lost in the Caribbean, convoys and singly, sunk by German U-boats. And eventually they did sink one of the gunboats, the one that my cousin was on, the Acacia. It was sunk somewhere in the Caribbean by a German U-boat later identified as number 161, which was later sunk also. And they didn't waste any torpedoes on the small cutter. They just called them out and told them to jump into the water, as our cousin later told us at home. He jumped into the water with his little dog, or their little dog, their mascot. And with the deck cannon, the Germans sank the cutter. United States Coast Guard cutter, Acacia, WAGL-200. This road is dedicated to the Coast Guard cutter Acacia, the only Coast Guard buoy tender sunk by enemy action in World War II. Home ported in San Juan, Puerto Rico at the beginning of the war, Acacia was dispatched to supply air bases and perform various aids to navigation duties throughout the Caribbean. During a transit from Curaçao to Antigua, Acacia was discovered by the German submarine U-161 as he approached the islands of the Lesser Antilles. At 05:35 on the morning of March 15, 1942, Acacia was fired upon and within 5 minutes was aflame from stern to stern. Miraculously, all officers and crew abandoned ship safely and survived. Later on, we found out that he was stationed for quite a while in Guantanamo, Cuba, in anti-submarine patrol duty. All over the Caribbean, they saw a lot of action, and he later related to me some of the experiences he had and some of the encounters. When they returned from being rearmed, he mentioned at home that he would like to take me to see the ship. He thought he could do it. As a joke, he said, "Put your Boy Scout uniform on." But I took him seriously, and I put it on, and I went with him to the Coast Guard base in San Juan, and I was very excited and very happy to be able to look at the ship and the guns and all the boats in the area and ships. And he took me upstairs into the ship, and I met the captain and other people, and he described the guns and the whole armament of the ship, the deck gun, the new deck gun, the depth charges of all types, K-gun, and the ones that were thrown overboard. They were all set for anti-submarine warfare, and they were sent away. And eventually I learned that it was Guantanamo, and from there on they participated in the anti-submarine war in the Caribbean. At that time, daily life was becoming difficult. We were had rationing and food stamps, or rather ration stamps, they call them. I remember those times that news were bad and news about the sinking of ships in the Caribbean. And we were 9 in the family, and all of us were constantly worried about Hernan, about my brother, and wondered what was going on. And it was very sad to think of those things. It was a difficult time for us in that sense also. And I used to love the military displays, all the maneuvers that I could see, and all the information I could get was almost like my bread and butter. I felt attracted. I felt enthusiastic about the war. In a way, it was just the ignorance of a kid, a young kid, but still there were years that I remember mostly as a good experience for me. Actually, I never realized the extent of those shortages, of the way the war affected us until years later, and during the Korean War, when I volunteered into the Marine Corps, and then from there went on to flight school in the Navy in Pensacola, became a pilot, and then I learned that we had lost over 400 ships in the Caribbean during that period, and always felt that it was a fact that very few people knew about, and that they, Hollywood and all the media have exploited those themes, those other theaters of war, but not the Caribbean, which Hollywood never really recognized that part that we played during the Second World War in the Caribbean, that it should be more well known. I remember my father and my uncles, older people, were fixed to the radio news programs, and we got most of the information on the war through the movies, movie tone news, and sometimes newspapers were allowed some information. And also my uncle received the Life magazine and Time, and they had some more information which I was able to read also. This is the entrance to San Juan Harbor. El Morro Port is on the right side behind this wall, detention wall, and Isla de Cabra, Gold Island, is across the bay. As I understand, there was a submarine nest, and two tenders two boats would open up for ships coming in during that period of the war.